Hello, word nerds. Welcome to the dictionary. My name is Spencer and I am super tired. I've had like 4 nights of not enough sleep. And sleepiness is like all up in this whole area here. And I'm like, oh boy. But, I meditated. I actually took a nap after I meditated. So I think I'm doing a little better than I was. Let's talk about these words. We have the first word, which is fondle. Fondle. This is a verb from 1694. We are starting with transitive. Number 1 is obsolete, and the synonym is pamper. Pamper. You are pampering yourself. You are going to maybe a spa of some kind, having people take care of your nails, your skin, get a massage, get in a hot tub, an ice bath. What other things when you're pampering yourself? And back in the day, they were like, I'm getting fondled at a spa. I don't know if they had spas in 1694. Number 2, to handle tenderly, lovingly, or lingeringly. Lingeringly? I'm just going to hold you on. I'm going to hold on to you just as long as I can. Don't walk away. If you're walking away, I'm going to hold on to your hand. It's lingering. The synonym is caress. Yes. I'm fondling my shoulder, caressing my shoulder. Maybe at the spa, maybe you would be fondled. Maybe at your massage. Are they handling you I hope in the massage that are handling you tenderly and lovingly. Not necessarily that they love you, but they're not handling you like a piece of meat in a mean way. But sometimes at a massage, you need like that sports medicine deep stuff. Then it's like, oh, wow, I really needed that. And that was you did not handle me lovingly. Intransitive is to show affection or desire by caressing. But yeah, again, what's the difference between the transitive and the intransitive? I need an example, because in both contexts, you're doing the thing, it seems like. I'm going to show affection to you by caressing. I'm fondling this monkey puppet over here. He's so nice. Okay, fondler is a noun. And I don't know, I think when I think of this word fondle, or maybe when most people hear this word, it feels like it should have a little bit of a negative connotation to it. Obviously not necessarily, but it's like, ooh, I don't know. I think it fits in with some of those words like moist, where people are like, nah, I don't know about that one. But everybody's gonna feel differently. All the definitions were all very, it's all about loving and caressing and being loving and tender and lingering. Fondle. Where does this word come from? It's from the obsolete fond, which means to fondle. And I'm looking back at the word fond. I mean, we had foolishly tender, yes, affectionate, loving, all that, fond. You were fond of something, so you might fondle it. My sound effect. Ooh, maybe I got to do that for my sound effect. We got to do the gross sound of nom, 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 nom. The next word is fondly. Adding on to our fond stuff. Fondly, adverb from the 14th century. Number 1 is archaic, and this is in a foolish manner. The synonym is foolishly. And was there something? Yeah, the word fond literally comes from the word for fool. Because you'd be a fool to be fond of something. So yeah, fondly, foolishly, in a foolish way. I'm doing this podcast fondly, because I'm such a fool. That took a lot of energy. Now we have number 2, in a fond manner. And the synonym is affectionately, as in, spoke of her fondly because he likes her so much, maybe later he will caress her toes. Number 3, in a willingly credulous manner. The example is, it would stun, I fondly hoped. No, wait, let's try this again. It would stun, I fondly hoped, the reader. That is a quote from Annie Dillard. So if we reorder that to put it in another way, I fondly hoped that it would stun the reader. So, fondly hoped, in a willingly credulous manner. Like, I just really want this thing to happen. Credulous. I'm trying to think of how to define that in the moment. Credulous. Yeah, it feels like it has a little bite to it, maybe. I fondly hoped it would stun the reader. Just, just hanging out, I just really, really hoped, as I was writing that, I really hoped that the reader would be stunned. So I could see a little bit of a foolishness in this, maybe. I don't know. Fondly. Maybe Annie was the only one who used it that way. Now we have the word fondness. Noun from the 14th century, number 1 is obsolete, and the synonyms are foolishness and folly. Fondness, foolishness, folly. Yep, it's all about the fools. Number 2, tender affection is fondness. He had fondness for her, so he spoke about her fondly. Number 3, the synonyms are appetite and relish, as in, had a fondness for argument. I do not have a fondness for argument. I have a fondness for the opposite of just getting along, not being in conflict. I don't know. I guess arguments have their place, especially if it is productive in some way, maybe convincing somebody of your side. But usually, I don't know. I don't feel like people are. They're just arguing for the sake of argument, like Monty Python. They just want an argument. They have a fondness for arguing in that sketch, the argument sketch. That's the only kind of argument that I can get behind. All right, next. Now we have fondue. Fondue, or no E at the end. Let's see. Fondue, fondue, or fondue. Fondue, noun from 1829. Number 1, a dish similar to a souffle, usually made with cheese and breadcrumbs. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Ooh. Now we have 2A1, a preparation of melted cheese. Do we see a pattern here? Examples of the cheese are Swiss cheese or Gruyere. And it is usually flavored with white wine and Kirsch, Kirsch. I have no idea what Kirsch is, but this fondue, this specific type of fondue, often has wine and Kirsch. But we got another one, 2A2, a dish that consists of small pieces of food, as meat or fruit, cooked in or dipped into a hot liquid. That is the fondue that I am more familiar with. I have not had this souffle with cheese and breadcrumbs, but I would very much like a vegan version of that. And then also this first one, it's a preparation of melted cheese with the white wine and Kirsch. I don't know how that changes the flavors. Examples of this second, I guess it's really the third fondue here, 2A2, beef fondue and chocolate fondue. Now, it's interesting, those two, the way that the word fondue is being used in each of those is different. Beef fondue means that the beef is cooked or dipped in the hot liquid, but chocolate fondue, the chocolate is the hot liquid, and you are dipping or cooking your stuff in the chocolate. That would likely be the fruit example. Dipping the fruit in the hot chocolate. Oh yeah. You dip the fruit so tenderly, so fondly. You're fondling the chocolate with the fruit. And then the beef fondue. You're cooking it. I was on a work trip last year, I think. We went to a place that sort of had a couple of, I guess they technically had a vegan fondue, which I quite enjoyed. I think I had a lot of bread. Probably a lot of bread got dipped into that cheese, hot cheese. But yeah, the rest of the table, they were going hog wild, cooking their beef in some hot oil, I guess. I don't know. And then I think that they dipped it in the cheese. And I don't remember if there was any chocolate fondue, but ooh yeah. I've had fondue a couple of times. Once or twice was vegan, and I would like to do it again because come on. You can't go wrong with hot goopy cheese. Or chocolate, for that matter. Number 2B is a chafing dish in which fondue is made. You're melting the fondue in the fondue, cooking the fondue in the fondue. Fondue. Where does this word come from? It is French, fondue, from the feminine of also fondue, from fondre, which means to melt. That's what it is. You gotta melt the liquid or melt the thing to make a liquid. And then you're putting it on stuff. Let's try and talk slower sometimes. Or put stuff in it. Bread and cheese? Come on. All right. Anything else about fondue? I don't think so. I think the first time I had fondue many, many years ago, I was not vegan. And the place in Chicago was the darkest restaurant I have ever been in. And I don't know why. What is the point of this dark restaurant? Was it an accident? Literally had to be like guided to the table. I could not see. And then like you kind of get used to it. But boy, it was so dark. All right. Nom, 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 nom. These are not the sounds that I make when I'm eating food. Just you have to heighten it. Now we have F1 layer. F is capitalized. The 1 is the little one below. And then the word layer. Noun from 1933. This is the lower of the two layers into which the F region of the ionosphere splits in the daytime that occurs at varying heights from about 80 to 120 miles above the Earth's surface. And that in kilometers is 130 to 200. So, during the daytime, the F region in the ionosphere splits at varying heights around 80 to 120 miles above the Earth. And one of them is the F1 layer. It's the one closer to the Earth. And then I assume the other one is the F2 layer because the F region goes splits into the F1 and the F2 probably. And I do remember, F region, that was earlier in this season of this podcast. So F1 layer, even though it's not spelled out, it's F-O-N-E, which comes right after F-O-N-D-U-E. Fondue to F1. Okay, now, I don't know nothing about the F1 layer. And now we go on to font, F-O-N-T. First form, noun from before the 12th century. Number 1A, a receptacle for baptismal water. And because I am not a religious person, I did not know that was called the font. But I assume it's related to fountain. The receptacle for the So is this the basin when they're holding the baby over the thing? Is that the font that the baby is being held over? Maybe. And then they pour the water on the head and it's like, I didn't want a bath. And then the water falls into the font. Number 1B, a receptacle for holy water. Just wherever the holy water's going, you need to put the holy water in something. So you need a font. But you got to have your font around at all times. I got my font right over there. Every time I got to put holy water somewhere, I put it in the font. 1C. A receptacle for various liquids. I have a glass over here. I usually just put water in it, but you can just call it a font because they're liquids that go in it. Any liquids. Maybe the fondue dish can be called a font because you're holding liquids in it. It's a fondue font. So now we got number 2 for font. The synonyms are source and fountain, as in a font of information. And I guess maybe I've heard that phrase before, but I don't know. This podcast, this dictionary is this is a font of it. You come to this podcast because it is a font of information. What information you're going to get, I cannot guarantee the quality, the accuracy, or the humor of it, but it's going to be informational in some way. A font of information. Yeah, that must be a phrase I've heard of, but I don't know. I guess I didn't think about what does font mean in that situation. It is a source where the stuff is coming from. So it's interesting that fountain in this context is like, oh, the fountain, the water is coming from the fountain. But the way that they started using it in religious contexts was you're putting the thing into it. It's not coming from it. It's going into it. Fondle is an adjective. So somebody can give you fondle information. How would you use this? The fondle, I don't know, some way. Not something that people are probably using very much. So yeah, this word is from the Latin, and it means fountain, and that's that. But we got more. What am I? I was going to say Oscar the Grouch. No, Cookie Monster? The second form of font is a noun from the circa 1688. So both forms are nouns, which we don't see very often, but they are so different, so different, they had to put them in different forms. They have different etymologies and stuff. So this second form is, there's just one definition. It's an assortment of an assortment or set of type or characters, all of one style and sometimes one size. Yeah, I think when we're talking about text, the type of text, the style of text, what the text looks like, and also kind of the size of the text, we're calling it the font. I use fonts all the time. I'm always having to find a good font, play with fonts, be like, hey, what's the font I'm supposed to use here? Back in the day, when I was a child, we had one of those early Macs in the early 80s, and it had just a handful of fonts. If you were typing up a document, you had, I don't know, 10 or 15 fonts to use. I think Chicago was one of them. Verdana seems similar. What else? Georgia? I don't know. I didn't use most of them. But it was like, wow, you can change the style of your text. And now, these days, people are making fonts for, to mock up or to be similar to like a movie text. Nightmare Before Christmas, Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, any sort of style you want. There's a font out there. It might be free. You might have to pay for it, but it's out there. And you now have the ability to make your own font in a computer program. I don't know. I've never done that. I've always sort of thought that would be kind of a cool thing to do. But if you want to make your own font, you can do that. Isn't that amazing? And then, it has to be built in the proper way, so it will adjust if you want to make it bold, extra bold, condensed, thin, regular, italicized, all those things. And, fonts. Fonts are so cool to play with. I know people who are like, they just know fonts. Like, oh, yeah, I know that font. It's crud. That font is called crud. I want to see what that font looks like. So where does this word come from? It's from French font, which means act of founding. Yeah. From what else? From Latin fundere, which means to found or pour. And there's more at the word found. So is this like I guess we'll see found in a little while. Is this like a foundry, like a metal working kind of thing? And then font came from that maybe because the letters, in those old typesetting things for text and newspapers, books, whatever, the text, the letters were metal. And then, then they would have to go through that process again to make a whole other set of letters. And they had those drawers that you'd pull out, and here's this size, and here's this size. And they probably only had a couple of different styles because they take up a whole lot of physical space. Not anymore. All right. Anything else about font? I don't know. Now we have fontanelle. You can spell it Fontanel, or you can add another LE at the end. Fontanella. You can also pronounce it, you can say fontanelle or fontanelle. Either one. It is a noun. From 1741, we have one definition. It is a membrane-covered opening in bone or between bones, but specifically, any of the spaces closed by membranous structures between the uncompleted angles of the parietal bones and the neighboring bones of a fetal or young skull. Ooh, a young skull. We need a young skull for our potion. Go get me a young skull. So what is this, the fontanelle? Let's look at the etymology. It means Middle English fontanelle. It means a bodily hollow or pit. So it is a pit, a hollow, a space in a bodily structure. And then what else? Anglo-French, fontanelle, diminutive of fontaine. Oh, it means fountain. Interesting. It comes from the word fountain. So I don't know. I feel like maybe should I look up a picture of this fontanelle? Fontanelle. I don't know. Let's also type in young skull to see what that's gonna get us. Something interesting, I assume. So yeah, soft spots. Yes, these are the spaces between the bones of a baby skull where the bones haven't fully fused. This is kind of what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. So yeah, there's like, if you see an x-ray or just a drawing, there's literally a space. There's a space in between the bones because the skull has to be very flexible to at birth time to squish. It squishes. And then as time goes on, it gets to a more proper shape, and the bones are, I guess they're growing and they fuse together. So literally that space is the proper term for that space is the fontanelle. It's your skull hole. Skull hole. All right. Anything else? I think that's probably pretty good. I don't think I have any more fontanelles. No, I think I got rid of all my fontanelles. Yum, 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 yum. Now we have fontina. Fontina. Noun from 1938. It is often capitalized. It is a cheese that is semi-soft to hard in texture. It can vary from semi-soft to hard. And it is mild to medium sharp in flavor. It can be mild sharp or medium sharp. Is that dependent on its hardness? I do not know. This is an Italian word, fontina, and I don't know what it means. Does it just mean cheese? It probably would have said that. I don't know. Let's look up. Let's translate this word. See what the translate has to say. So we are going to change this first one to Italian. I have been learning a little bit of Italian recently on the Duolingo. It's pretty fun. But it's going to get to a point soon where I cannot do anymore because I am stupid. It just means fontina. That's it. So what is the Italian word fontina? What does that mean? Where does it, is it a town? Did they make this cheese in an Italian town called Fontina? I don't know if I've ever had it. I don't think so. I don't think I've even ever heard of it. But you know what Fontina is? It's a food. We got to the word food. Food, such a basic thing in all of our lives. I have food here. I have a banana that's been sitting around a little bit. I got to eat that this morning because I'm pretty hungry. Food. Food. It is a noun from before the 12th century. Oh, such an old word. Number 1A. It's a long one. Get ready. It is material consisting essentially of protein, carbohydrate, and fat used in the body of an organism to sustain growth, repair, and vital processes, and to furnish energy. Also, such food together with supplementary substances like minerals, vitamins, and condiments. What do you put on your hot dog? I put on condiments. What do you put on your hot dog? I put on minerals. What types of minerals? I don't know. Calcium? Salt. Okay, so that is food. You gotta eat food. If you have been not eating food, I think you should rethink this whole not eating food thing. Give food a chance. This episode is brought to you by food. Try it. What does it do when you eat the food? It is doing vital processes in your body. It's repairing things. I got a cut yesterday on my leg because I was clumsy. And the body needs the energy to do the things and create the stuff and send the hormones and the blood and all the stuff to the places to fix things. Broken bones require energy. The body needs that energy to do the thing, and you get the energy from the food. What else does it do? Repair. It grows. When you're young, you are growing for 20-ish years. You're growing physically, and so you need that food, that energy for your body to do stuff. Got to do stuff. Your body's doing stuff all the time, and if you don't eat the food, it's not going to be able to do the stuff. And my body's always like, "Hey, I got stuff to do. I don't care about what you got. I got stuff to do. So can you please give me some food?" And your stomach will tell you when you need food. In most cases, some people's brains and bodies are created a little bit differently than most people, so they have other situations going on. Food is very good, and you need it, and it has proteins, carbohydrates, fats. Are there any words missing in that situation? I think those are the main things. Obviously, you need to get a good balance of those. What do they say? Your plate should have a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of grains, and half veggies. I'll get on my soapbox briefly here. Come on. You need to be eating a lot more veggies than you are probably eating. For the most of you, I'm even talking about myself sometimes, but my wife is very, very good at making sure that we have this proper blend of the right foods, the right proportions and everything. And so I do rely on her, and I'm getting a little bit better about, doing that on my own. It's hard, when I was younger, I would just, have that easy to make mac and cheese for lunch, and that is not what we should be eating. So I have grown up. There's frozen foods that have a good mixture of stuff, but also they're frozen, so those aren't necessarily great either. Food is so complicated. The corporations are telling you this is what you should be eating, but if you want to be healthy, the most healthy, you got to cut down on that meat, cut it down or out, depending on who you are. That dairy, you should probably be cutting out altogether. None of us should be eating dairy. More veggies. Those healthy proteins. What are some other proteins? The beans, the lentils, tofu, chickpeas. There's so many things that have protein that people don't even realize. And so, do your research, do your nutritional research. You might get some differing things, but all in all, it's pretty. The science is pretty solid on what we should be eating. And then you get some grains in there. I don't know, noodles, rice, quinoa, whatever it is. Overall, we eat pretty healthy, but sometimes, like this week, we had popcorn for lunch and dinner, and I don't know. I think, did we get our protein in that popcorn, those popcorn meals? No, we did not. But hey, you know what? We're on a little bit of a staycation, so all bets are off. Nothing counts. Nothing matters when you're on a staycation or a vacation. All right, what else do we have for food? We have 1B, inorganic substances absorbed by plants in gaseous form or in water solution. This is how the plants eat. They are not eating burgers. They are eating things in gaseous form or the sunlight or something in their water in liquid form. And they're like, "Oh, that food is so good. Give me more of that sunlight so I can photosynthesize. That's the process that I do." Number 2, nutrient. Oh, no, it's not nutrient. It's nutriment. Nutriment in solid form is food. I'm not entirely sure what nutriment is, but it's nutritious. Number 3, something that nourishes, sustains, or supplies, as in food for thought. That thing will nourish your thoughts. You've really given me something to think about. I did not know that before. Now my thinkies are thinking, and they are eating that food energy that you just gave it to think, that information. Foodless is an adjective. Unfortunately, there are a lot of places in the world that are basically foodless, and it honestly wouldn't take that much energy or money for the really, really rich people of the world to help that, fix it, solve it, something. So how hard can that be? Foodlessness is a noun. They are eating in foodlessness. They live in a foodlessness situation. I just want to fix it. Can we fix it? I want to make a lot of money so I can fix it because they're not doing it. But I don't know if we got time to wait for me to become a billionaire to fix it. Where does this word come from? Food. Middle English fod, from Old English foda, akin to the Old High German foetar, which means food or fodder, from the Latin panis, which means bread, and pascere, which means to feed. I don't really see the connection between foetar or foda and panis, but hey, bread is just like, at the very least, you got some bread. That's like the base food. I got a banana for breakfast. And then for lunch, I'm going to have, this is probably not, the most healthy, but I have not had time to go grocery shopping. So what I have is an everything bagel. I will put some vegan butter on there. And then I have a few pieces of vegan turkey slices that I will put on there as well. And, I don't have no veggies in there, but I got some protein and I got those carbs, those grains. Food is so complicated. I can't, I'm so dumb when it comes to this stuff. I know some things, I know enough, but like people start talking about those really detailed nutritional terms and I'm like, I don't know. I just eat what my wife tells me to eat mostly. And that's why I stay so sexy. All right. I think we're done with food. Let's move on to... I'm very angry about my food. Now we have the word food chain. 2 words. Noun from 1920. Number 1. An arrangement of the organisms of an ecological community according to the order of predation in which each uses the next, usually lower member, as a food source. If humans were put into the food chain properly, just from our physical capabilities, we would not be at the top of the food chain. The food chain is like, here, let's bring up a picture of a proper food chain in an ecological situation. Let's see, food chain. Let's look up that. I don't know what. Let's do forest, a forest food chain. Oh yeah, here's some good images. Let's see. Let's find a good here. This is a good one. Okay. It's organized in a sort of a round thing, but we're starting with the producer, the grass. That's step number one. The grass is the producer. It creates itself. It gets created. We could probably add other plants to this producer category as well. And then the primary consumer, that's what it's called here. It shows a grasshopper. The grasshopper is going to eat the grass. And of course, there are many, many other types of creatures, but the example is the grasshopper. Other insects, stuff like that. They're eating the grass, the plants. And then there is the secondary consumer. In this context, it's a frog. The frog is going to eat the grasshopper and maybe flies and stuff like that, other insects. And then we move on to the tertiary consumer. In this context, it's a snake. Ooh, that snake has a very angry red face. The snake is going to eat the frog. Do you see how this chain works? They're going to eat the frog, and they're going to eat a lot of other things, maybe like a mouse. They're going to eat the mouse because the mouse has probably eaten some grubs, some insects maybe some grass too, I don't know. And then we have the final consumer. It's the final eater. Do-do-do-do. In this context, we have the hawk. The hawk is flying around with its hawky eyes, and it sees a snake, and it dive bombs, and it grabs the snakes with its talons, and then later it eats the snake, and maybe it feeds it. It partially digests it, and then feeds the goopy snake to its babies. Yeah, but there's nothing else in that situation. There's nothing else who's going to eat the hawk. And then finally, not in the chain, just sort of separate from the chain, we have the decomposer. Decomposing composers, there's less of them every year. You can say what you like to Debussy, but there's not much of him left to hear. This is fungi or fungi or fungi or fungi. The mushrooms, stuff like that. They are decomposing the stuff that is dying, the dead bodies, the dead plants, and they eat it, and they're very, very happy. They're like, nom, 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 nom. Ooh, this is a very tasty dead thing. And then the process starts all over again. It goes into the ground, into the plants, and then they grow because they're like, ooh, fungi, I like that stuff. So that's the food chain. And of course, it's, the specifics are going to be different, but that's generally how it goes. Anything else for food chain? We got now number 2, a hierarchy based on power. I wanted to say first, if the humans were put in that situation, in a situation where there are sharks or lions or tigers or bears, we would not fare so well. We would not be the final consumer. We would be consumed. Okay, so we are outside of that food chain altogether because we have used our brains and our consciousness and our big old brains to just mess up the whole system. Gotta let that food chain do its thing. That is the natural process. Okay, number 2, a hierarchy based on power or importance, as in, at the top of the corporate food chain. That's where the CEOs sit, sitting on their food chain throne, because they have all the power and the importance and all of the money, and they don't need that money. They are just hoarding it. Stupid. All right, let's go on to our last word. Yummy, tasty. Now we have the word food court. 2 words. Noun from 1982. An area within a building, like a shopping mall, set apart for food concessions. Oh, do you remember those food courts when we would go to the mall in the 80s and the 90s? Oh, that was the best place. You had all of the possibilities of the food. Any food you could imagine, they had it at the food court. We still got food courts, of course. Food courts, of course, but they're not quite what they were probably. Um, yeah, you had burgers, you had Italian, you had Mexican, you had Chinese, you had Japanese, you had pizza, you had Italian, you had all the stuff at your fingertips, but you could only get maybe one or two things. You can't get a little bit from every time. You're not going to have enough space in your belly for all that food. Let's go meet at the food court. Let's drink our drinks, eat our food, we'll hang out, watch what all the other people are doing. It's the place to be. The food court. That's its tagline. The place to be. All right. That's it. I got nothing else, so now I have to pick a word of the episode. Today we had fondle, fondly, fondness, fondue, F1 layer, font, fontanelle, fontina, food, food chain, and food court. And I like a number of these, and this is a very hard one to pick. I mean, food seems like a pretty good one as the word of the episode. We need food. I'm going to eat some food. Maybe I'll even put a little peanut butter on my banana. Oh, what do you think about that? What do you think about them apples? It's a banana. So that's a good one. I mean, fondue, that's kind of a good one too. It is a food. What else? I don't know. I think that's probably fine. Fontina is also a food. We had two foods in here. We had two foods in this episode. So let's pick food as the word of the episode. I love food. I love food. It keeps me going. I get hungry and I eat some food, and then I stave off death for a little while. That's it for that part of the show, which was the most part of the show, and it was a long part of the show. But now I would like to tell you about a movie that I watched, because we are still doing this David Lynch retrospective. We are halfway through. Yesterday was day 5 out of day 10 days. And let's see, was it yesterday? No, the day before yesterday, we watched The Elephant Man. I had not seen this movie for quite a while, all the way through, and let's give a quick little backstory. David Lynch did Eraserhead, which was what we saw yesterday. That'll be next on the list. He did that in the 70s. And then Mel Brooks, of all people, was like, you are the guy to direct my movie, The Elephant Man. I'm producing it, and I need a director, and you are my director. And so I think it was 1980-ish was when Elephant Man was made and came out. And this is the, true, semi-true story of John Merrick, who was dubbed the Elephant Man disrespectfully because he had a lot of physical deformities in his body. And let's look up John Merrick so we know what sort of years this was. Now, I don't know how true this story is. I have not looked that up. Or Joseph. Yeah, John was his nickname. His name was Joseph. He was born August 5th, 1862, and he died April 11th, just 5 days ago in my time, 1890. So how old did that make him? He was, what is that, under 30 years old. He was in his 20s when he died. I think I heard that, if he was alive today, we would have been able to solve a lot of these physical ailments that he had by surgeries. And he probably would have lived a whole lot longer and had a better life. But the thing about him was that he was, at least what they show in the movie, and I'm sure that there's a lot of truth to it, he was put into this like sideshow freak world, I use in air quotes, and, was not treated well, and you really, really see a lot of that in the movie, and it is so terrible and heart-wrenching, and, some people just can't handle even watching that movie. My wife had to get up for like that last, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, What a tough life. You're just dealt this weird hand. And it's just a beautiful movie, and it's all black and white. So you gotta watch The Elephant Man. Anyway, that is it for that. And now I'm maybe I'll go take another nap. Maybe I'm gonna eat some food while I nap. This has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. Nom nom nom.